the dark secrets of narcissist sexual behavior that will shock you. For so many of you, the world of intimate relationships is supposed to be a sanctuary of connection, vulnerability, and mutual trust. You enter these bonds with an open heart, expecting reciprocity, genuine affection, and a shared journey of emotional and physical closeness. But for those who have found themselves entangled with a narcissist, this sacred space often becomes anything but. It morphs into a bewildering landscape of confusion, inconsistency, and profound emotional pain. You might find yourself constantly questioning what is real, grappling with a pervasive sense that something fundamentally sinister lies beneath the surface of their charm, especially in the most private moments. You've experienced the highs, the intense idealization, the fleeting moments of feeling uniquely desired, and then the crushing lows, the sudden coldness, the inexplicable devaluation, the feeling of being utterly used and discarded. This perplexing dichotomy, where moments of intense physical intimacy are intertwined with profound emotional detachment, leaves countless individuals feeling bewildered, betrayed, and deeply wounded. It's as if there's a hidden playbook, a secret set of rules governing their most intimate behaviors, rules that defy all understanding of genuine love and connection. And indeed, there is. Beneath the charming facade and the performative passion, narcissists harbor dark secrets about their sexual behavior that, once revealed, will undoubtedly shock you. These aren't just quirks or preferences, they are profound manifestations of their disordered personality, strategies meticulously employed to feed their insatiable need for control and narcissistic supply. Understanding these hidden truths is not about judgment, but about illumination, shedding light on the mechanics of their manipulation, validating your confusing experiences, and empowering you to finally break free from the intoxicating but ultimately destructive illusion of intimacy with a narcissist. In this crucial and perhaps challenging discussion, we are going to courageously pull back the curtain on 10 dark secrets concerning narcissists' sexual behavior, truths rooted firmly in psychological observation that reveal the profound depth of their manipulative intent. By understanding these deeply unsettling motivations, you will gain invaluable clarity, validate your painful experiences, and arm yourself with the knowledge necessary to protect your invaluable emotional well-being, reclaim your precious autonomy, and embark on a genuine path toward healing and authentic connection. This crucial knowledge is far more than merely insightful. It stands as an absolutely indispensable tool, a powerful shield that is critical for your ongoing healing process and a powerful catalyst for your personal empowerment moving forward. When we delve into the dark secrets of a narcissist's sexual behavior, we are not speaking of hidden kinks or specific taboo acts. Instead, we are unmasking the profound, often chilling psychological motivations, the manipulative intentions, and the underlying pathological framework that governs how a narcissist approaches, engages in, and uses intimacy. For individuals accustomed to genuine, reciprocal connections, these secrets are indeed shocking because they reveal a fundamental perversion of what intimacy is meant to be. They expose a transactional, self-serving agenda, utterly devoid of empathy or true emotional depth. These aren't isolated incidents, but rather consistent patterns born from their disordered personality. The shock for the victim comes from the devastating realization that the intimacy they cherished was a carefully constructed illusion, a tool in the narcissist's relentless pursuit of narcissistic supply, power, and control. It's the shock of betrayal, of being objectified, and of having their deepest vulnerabilities exploited. Here are 10 dark secrets about narcissists' sexual behavior that reveal the true nature of their approach to intimacy, explained from a psychological perspective. The dark secret. Sex is a transaction, never genuine connection. The first and arguably most foundational dark secret of a narcissist's sexual behavior is that for them, sex is fundamentally a transaction, never a genuine connection. While they may mimic the motions of intimacy, passion, or even love, their internal experience is almost entirely devoid of the emotional reciprocity empathy, and vulnerability that define true connection for most people. Their objective is always to gain something, whether it's narcissistic supply, control, or the validation of their fragile ego. Psychologically, this transactional approach stems from their profound lack of object constancy and their inability to truly see others as separate, whole individuals. People are merely extensions of themselves, existing to fulfill their needs. In the sexual realm, this means your body, your emotions, and your reactions become commodities to be leveraged. They are not engaging in a shared experience of vulnerability and pleasure. They are performing a role, expecting a specific return. The shock for the victim comes from realizing that the intense connection they felt was a mirage. They poured their heart and soul into what they believed was a deep bond, only to discover it was a one-sided exchange where they were merely a means to an end. This secret reveals that every intimate moment, every touch, every word, was part of a calculated exchange, leaving the victim feeling profoundly used, utterly unseen, and devastatingly dehumanized. A chilling realization that dismantles their trust in authentic intimacy itself. 2. The dark secret. It's always about power and absolute control. Another deeply unsettling dark secret governing a narcissist's sexual behavior is that every intimate encounter is, at its core, always and intrinsically about power and absolute control. For a narcissist, their insatiable and pervasive need to dominate and control their environment, including their partners, permeates every aspect of their relationships, and this manifests most acutely and chillingly within the intimate sphere. They are pathologically driven by a desperate compulsion to dictate every term, to orchestrate every move, and to ensure without question that their will unequivocally prevails in the bedroom. Psychologically, this overwhelming and pathological desire for control originates from their deep-seated internal insecurities and their debilitating inability to healthily regulate their own turbulent emotions and internal states. By meticulously controlling their partners within the most vulnerable and private of spaces, they meticulously construct an illusion of absolute external order and undeniable power, which serves to temporarily, yet fleetingly, soothe their gnawing internal anxieties and their constant, terrifying fear of being exposed as fundamentally inadequate. This secret reveals that their apparent passion, their intense focus, or their insistence on specific acts are rarely about shared pleasure. Instead, they are meticulously crafted tactics designed to assert their dominance and subjugate their partner. The shock for the victim comes from realizing that their own agency, their fundamental autonomy, and their sacred boundaries were constantly being undermined, subtly or overtly, under the guise of intimacy. They may have felt pressured, coerced, or simply unable to articulate a no without fearing severe repercussions, leading to a gradual erosion of their self-worth and a profound sense of psychological violation. This secret illuminates the chilling truth that intimacy was never a shared exploration, but rather a relentless power struggle, with the narcissist always seeking to emerge as the absolute victor. 3. The dark secret. Your pleasure is their supply, not your well-being. A particularly cruel and manipulative dark secret in the narcissist's sexual repertoire is that your pleasure is not valued for your well-being, but purely as their narcissistic supply. While they may appear to meticulously focus on your satisfaction, deriving apparent joy from your orgasm or expressions of delight, their primary motivation is not genuine empathy or a desire for your fulfillment. Instead, they are pathologically addicted to your reactions, specifically those that confirm their own grandiosity and perceived sexual prowess. Psychologically, the narcissist lacks an internal sense of self-worth and relies entirely on external validation to regulate their fragile ego. Your pleasure, your visible enjoyment, and your verbal or nonverbal expressions of satisfaction serve as powerful forms of external mirroring. They confirm their desirability, their skill, and their ability to control and manipulate your emotional and physical responses. The shock for the victim comes from the devastating realization that the moments of feeling deeply desired and sexually satisfied were not about mutual intimacy, but a calculated performance designed to extract validation for the narcissist. They were being observed, their reactions meticulously gauged to fuel the narcissist's ego, not to foster genuine connection. This secret reveals that even in moments of apparent closeness, the narcissist's gaze was entirely inward, using your most vulnerable responses as fuel for their own pathological needs, leaving the victim feeling profoundly used, objectified, and emotionally hollowed out once the performance was over. 4. The dark secret. They despise true vulnerability and intimacy as performance. Beneath the facade of intense connection, a dark secret about narcissist sexual behavior is that they inherently despise true vulnerability, and for them, intimacy is merely a performance designed to secure supply, not a space for shared openness. While they might mimic vulnerability during the idealization phase or demand it from you, they are pathologically averse to genuine emotional exposure themselves. Psychologically, true vulnerability requires a stable sense of self, an ability to trust, and a capacity for genuine reciprocity, qualities profoundly lacking in a narcissist. Their elaborate false self is a protective barrier against deep-seated shame and inadequacy. Engaging in authentic vulnerability would risk exposing their true, empty core, a terrifying prospect for them. Thus, sex becomes a stage where they perform the role of a passionate lover, a caring partner, or an adventurous explorer, meticulously observing your reactions to gauge their success. The shock for the victim comes from realizing that the moments where they felt deeply connected and open were largely one-sided. They offered their true selves, their deepest desires and fears, while the narcissist remained emotionally inaccessible, mirroring only what was convenient or useful. This secret reveals that the intimacy was a charade, a carefully constructed illusion designed to extract your vulnerability and draw you in, while simultaneously protecting their own fragile facade. It leaves the victim feeling profoundly betrayed, exposed, and ultimately unable to trust the sincerity of past intimate moments. 5. The dark secret. Your boundaries are challenges to be broken. A deeply unsettling dark secret about a narcissist's sexual behavior is their inherent belief that your boundaries are not respectful limits, but rather challenges to be broken or obstacles to be cunningly overcome. Their pervasive sense of entitlement means they believe they have an inherent right to access your body and your emotions without true consent, beyond what you willingly offer. Psychologically, a narcissist views boundaries as direct affronts to their omnipotence and control. Your no, your hesitation, or your discomfort is not respected. It is perceived as defiance or a personal rejection that must be overridden. The shock for the victim comes from realizing that their comfort, their explicit consent, and their personal limits were constantly being tested, undermined, or simply ignored. This can manifest through subtle coercion, relentless persuasion, guilt-tripping, or even outright disregard for nonverbal cues. This secret reveals that the narcissist's passion or desire was often a thinly veiled attempt to assert power and violate your autonomy. It leads to a profound erosion of the victim's sense of agency, leaving them feeling psychologically violated, even when the acts themselves were not overtly non-consensual. The darkness lies in the underlying intent to dominate and control, making the victim feel that their body and desires are not their own, but rather subject to the narcissist's will. 6. The dark secret. The soulmate connection is a chameleon act. Many victims recall feeling an almost uncanny soulmate connection with the narcissist, especially in the early stages of intimacy. The dark secret behind this is that this profound connection is a chameleon act, a masterful mirroring technique where the narcissist reflects your deepest desires back to you without any genuine feeling or shared understanding. They become what they perceive you want them to be, specifically tailored to your romantic and sexual ideals. Psychologically, this mirroring stems from the narcissist's profound lack of a stable, authentic self. They have no core identity to present, so they become experts at observing others and adopting the persona most likely to elicit supply. In the sexual realm, this means they will uncannily match your fantasies, your preferences, and even your unexpressed longings, creating an illusion of perfect compatibility. The shock for the victim comes from the devastating realization that the person they believed was their soulmate, their deepest connection, was a carefully constructed facade. The intimacy they shared was based on a deceptive imitation, not a genuine understanding. This secret reveals that their perfect responses, their uncanny alignment with your desires, were calculated performances designed to hook you and secure your devotion. It leaves the victim feeling profoundly betrayed by the illusion, questioning their own judgment and ability to trust the authenticity of future intimate connections, as the memory of such intense, yet ultimately false resonance lingers. 7. The dark secret. Sex is always used as a weapon or a tool. Perhaps one of the most chilling dark secrets of a narcissist's sexual behavior is that intimacy is never truly for shared pleasure or connection. It is always used as a weapon, a tool, or a bargaining chip to manipulate, punish, or reward their partner. They pathologically crave the leverage that sex provides, and they will exploit it mercilessly to control your behavior and emotional state. Psychologically, this instrumentalization of intimacy is a core manifestation of their lack of empathy and their transactional view of relationships. They see sex as a powerful form of control, a means to extract compliance, attention, or to punish perceived slights. This can manifest in various brutal ways: withholding sex as a form of punishment or the silent treatment, granting it as a reward for obedience, using it to extract concessions, or even employing it to create jealousy through triangulation, e.g., hinting at other sexual partners. The shock for the victim comes from realizing that their most intimate moments were not sacred or loving, but were systematically weaponized against them. They were constantly being manipulated through the granting or withholding of affection, leaving them feeling like a pawn in a cruel game. This secret reveals the cold, calculating nature behind their intimate actions, stripping away any illusion of genuine care and leaving the victim feeling profoundly used, degraded, and stripped of their emotional and sexual autonomy. 8. The dark secret. The post-intimacy devaluation is intentional and shame-based. For many victims, one of the most confusing and hurtful patterns is the sudden coldness or critical behavior after moments of intense intimacy. The dark secret here is that this post-intimacy devaluation is often intentional, a deliberate act stemming from the narcissist's profound shame and their need to reassert superiority. After experiencing a momentary vulnerability, even a superficial one during sex, or once their supply needs are met, they often feel a need to distance themselves and reestablish control. Psychologically, this behavior serves multiple pathological purposes. Being physically intimate, even in their transactional way, might trigger a fleeting sense of vulnerability or a subconscious brush with their own unacknowledged shame and inadequacy. To counteract this discomfort, they immediately project that shame onto their partner through devaluation, criticism, or withdrawal. By devaluing you, they reassert their perceived superiority and distance themselves from any weakness associated with desire or connection. The shock for the victim comes from the agonizing whiplash of transitioning from intense closeness to cold contempt. They believed they had just shared a profound moment, only to be met with rejection, criticism, or a chilling discard. This secret reveals the deep-seated self-loathing that drives their post-intimacy cruelty, exposing it as a desperate attempt to regulate their own internal discomfort by externalizing it onto you. It leaves the victim feeling profoundly confused, humiliated, and teaching them, subconsciously, that intimacy itself leads to punishment, further eroding their self-esteem and capacity for trust. 9. The dark secret. They project their own shame and perversion onto you. One of the most insidious and truly dark secrets about narcissist sexual behavior is that they often project their own unacknowledged shame, their internal psychological perversions, and their own disordered desires onto you, making you feel dirty, wrong, or responsible for their own internal world. They will accuse you of the very things they are doing or secretly desiring. Psychologically, projection is a primary defense mechanism for narcissists. They cannot tolerate any self-blame, shame, or awareness of their own unacceptable impulses. To avoid this unbearable internal discomfort, they externalize these feelings and behaviors, attributing them to others, especially their intimate partners. In the sexual realm, this can manifest as accusations of infidelity, promiscuity, or perverted desires, even when these are their own secret thoughts or actions. They might subtly imply that your natural desires are strange or too much, making you feel ashamed of your own sexuality. The shock for the victim comes from the devastating experience of being falsely accused, of having their own healthy desires pathologized, and of internalizing the narcissist's shame. This secret reveals the profound psychological abuse inherent in their behavior. Not only are they behaving unethically, but they are systematically making you carry the burden of their own internal moral and sexual conflicts. It leaves the victim feeling deeply confused about their own sexuality, constantly self-doubting, and burdened by a false sense of guilt and shame that rightfully belongs to the narcissist. 10. The dark secret. Intimacy fuels their addiction cycle and traps you. Finally, a devastating dark secret about narcissists' sexual behavior is that intimacy, particularly the powerful highs of sexual connection, is a primary fuel for their broader addiction cycle, meticulously designed to trap you within their destructive orbit. This isn't just about isolated acts, it's about the pervasive pattern of intense love bombing, followed by devaluation, then discarding you and inevitably drawing you back in through hoovering, often with powerful sexual components. Psychologically, the narcissist is pathologically addicted to the supply they extract from this entire cycle. The intense sexual highs during the idealization and hoovering phases provide an immense, almost intoxicating rush of validation, adoration, and control. They are addicted to the power of drawing you back, securing your devotion, and demonstrating their ability to manipulate your emotions. The shock for the victim comes from realizing that the intense intimacy they experienced was not a sign of genuine love or a stable relationship, but a crucial mechanism in a larger, destructive pattern designed to keep them emotionally ensnared. This secret reveals that the love and sexual passion were merely powerful tools in the narcissist's arsenal, ensuring the victim remains perpetually hooked, always chasing the elusive high of the initial idealization, even amidst escalating abuse. It leaves the victim feeling profoundly betrayed by the very intimacy they sought, realizing they were merely a pawn in a larger self-serving and profoundly damaging game, making it incredibly difficult to break free from the addictive grip of the trauma bond. The dark secrets we have uncovered today about narcissist sexual behavior are indeed shocking, not because they describe sensational acts, but because they reveal a profound and disturbing truth. For a narcissist, intimacy is never truly about genuine connection, mutual pleasure, or shared vulnerability. It is a calculated arena for transaction, power control, and the relentless extraction of narcissistic supply. Their love is a performance, their vulnerability a trap, and your pleasure a tool to feed their insatiable ego. Understanding these hidden motivations is not about dwelling in anger or despair. It is about profound clarity and ultimate liberation for you, the survivor. It validates the confusion, the pain, and the inexplicable feeling of being used that you have endured. It illuminates the chilling reality that the love you longed for was an illusion expertly crafted to keep you ensnared. This knowledge empowers you to see the narcissist not as a mysterious, complex lover, but as a disordered individual whose intimate behaviors are driven by deep-seated pathology and a desperate need to maintain their fragile false self. Your journey towards healing involves meticulously untangling these complex dynamics, reclaiming your body and your sexuality from the shadow of their manipulation, and understanding that genuine intimacy can only truly flourish in a space built upon unwavering mutual respect, profound empathy, and freely given, enthusiastic consent. By bravely facing these dark secrets, you empower yourself to decisively break free from the cycle, to protect your invaluable emotional well-being, and to courageously cultivate relationships that are meticulously built upon the solid foundations of authenticity, profound peace, and a genuine reciprocal connection, completely removed from the psychologically dark and profoundly damaging behaviors of a narcissist. Your unwavering courage in unflinchingly facing these difficult truths is a testament to your incredible, resilient strength and your journey toward genuine healing is your ultimate act of profound empowerment. Thank you for joining us on this vital journey of insight and empowerment. If this video has resonated deeply with you, or if you believe it could bring crucial understanding and a clear path forward to someone you know, please share it widely and with intention. Let's continue to illuminate the path toward healing and authentic connection for everyone. See you in the next video.